Hello again, welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. Once again, from our undisclosed locations, I decided to come outside and sit on the porch here and see what things are like. It's one of those days where it rains and it feels worse after it rains. Just really humid and sticky. So,
Yeah, actually, Paul, I know I've got the same weather here on in my portion of the west side, the undisclosed locations, and it's great when the storm rolls in. The temperature drops about 10 degrees, and then as soon as it stops, it starts going right back up again. I'm like, I don't like days like that at all. But it's summertime. I guess you got to deal with them. We're getting some rain though. I mean, some rain is cool.
Yeah, it is good, and I know I'm sure our friends a little farther south in our eastern Corn Belt area are enjoying this because we've been pretty dry in Ohio, at least recently. So a good soaker would be nice. So yeah, it's nice in the neighborhood. Although I've got a couple, trying not to take it personally. I've got two neighbors moving out. I got one across the street leaving, and then two doors down I got one leaving. It's like, did I do something? Did I say something? Anyway.
I think most people are just tired of you saying undisclosed locations, perhaps. I mean, you have overused that phrase the last few weeks.
It could be, although I know some people are really enjoying it. I got a couple of other comments about how much they enjoy hearing those words in the middle of the day. So that's great.
Well, like I said, if they've turned it into the drinking game we've suggested, then I totally get it. Totally get it.
Absolutely. So I know you got a couple of things you wanted to touch on, so let's let you get started, sir.
Well, actually, you did kind of give me a little bit of a segue when you were talking about the rain that is much needed in our area. I'm sure other parts of the country too are looking for some rain. Based on what I've heard, there are some drought conditions across a lot of the states. And as it turns out, Paul, we're going to need the production. We found out. I know we talked in about a video or two ago about the fact that despite tensions between the U.S. and China, the Chinese continue to buy U.S. agricultural products. We reported a video or so ago that the second largest corn purchase happened between the U.S. and China. And lo and behold, on July 15th, we found out that the largest corn purchase by China has now taken place, 1.76 million tons of corn. So there's lots of U.S. corn heading to China's shores. And to follow up along that, it sounds like China is going to be needing even more U.S. agricultural items between now and the end of 2020. Analysts are speculating that China will need to purchase between 18 and 20 million tons of soybean through the end of the year to meet their demands before the Brazil crop comes in. So again, Paul, for the growers out there doing corn and soybeans, there is now a buying market. The Chinese are buying, and commodity prices are going up. And for everyone, this will be good news, I think.
Yeah, it's really interesting with all the tensions continuing to rise. With the embassy, in Houston, and just all the accusations going back and forth under the table stuff still continues to move. So, despite all the political tensions, you need to keep the people fed. So I guess that's gonna win out, at least for now, over everything else that's going on.
Yep. So then, Paul, we'll let you pick the next story I talk about. So do you want to do the good news or the not so good news? I won't say bad news. Not so good news versus the good news.
Let's go with not so good news first.
Okay, not so good news. As we've talked about this year with COVID-19 and the pandemic going on across the country, there have been myriad trade shows and events that have been canceled. So I didn't see myriad of, so you don't have to get mad at me. Myriad trade shows that have, like I say, been postponed or pulled off the table or gone virtual. And we found out this week that our friends at the Mid America CropLife Association have decided to take their annual meeting from an in-person event in St. Louis in September to a virtual event. So to Bonnie McCarville and all our friends at MACA, we'll be looking forward to signing in the week of September 7th to check out some of the speakers. I know one of them is going to be a friend of yours, Paul, Chris Novak from CropLife America is going to be talking about attacks on agriculture. So that ought to be a very interesting listen. So yes, I'll miss seeing all my friends at the MACA meeting this year, but as virtual events go, I think this will be a good one.
Good deal. Yeah, again, it's tough, but just everybody's. It seems like 2020 is going to be the year we're going to have to get through it and power through all this and figure out ways to stay connected.
Yep. So then the good news. Okay, the good news, yes. You may remember back in June we got the verdict from the Ninth Circuit Court in California that vacated dicamba use across the country, and basically there was EPA stepped in and basically gave an exemption, if you will, so that folks could apply it through the end of July, which we're coming up here pretty quickly. But there was another court case going on with the Ninth Circuit Court regarding Enlist, the 2,4-D formulation from Corteva. And I'm happy to report that in that case, the justices said that the EPA's registration for Enlist was okay. There was some question regarding perhaps hurting monarch butterflies and the buttermilk plants, which they thrive on. But the courts basically said if EPA looks at that question a little harder in the future, that for the time being, nothing will change for Enlist usage across the country.
It is remarkable, and I think it just seems like they're using the court's lack of familiarity with the process. What is it? The 10-year, multi hundreds of millions of dollars that are spent on research and development and things that are shared with EPA. That comes down to some testimony and probably once over lately kinds of discussion. You spend a decade looking at these things. I think learning just being in the industry for the past 20 years and seeing how regulation reviews have changed. How much more obsessive they are about it. How much deeper they go into the research and how much harder they work on this. It's to think that they're leaving swaths of information or swaths of data out. It would be remarkable, especially some of the very basic things that they're talking about. With the monarchs. It was talked about a lot in great detail over the years. So I feel like things are thrown out, and the things that we've already gotten past, and now we're bringing them back up again. It's frustrating. Everybody wants things to be safe and environmentally responsible. Most of all, the companies that make the products and the farmers that use the products, because it's their land, it's their crop, it's what they're selling, it's their livelihood, along with the environment that they live in and the people that they go to church with and everything else. See, I'm getting in my soapbox now. I should just shut up. And I'm talking to the choir here, but it's really frustrating to see that kind of. To me, it should not be anywhere near the courts like this. If it needs to go back and people need to look at things, fine. But to stop things while they're happening and then have this review is just, on the courts is crazy. Anyway, that's my thinking.
Well, and I agree with you, Paul. I think these special interest groups were emboldened when the dicamba decision came down. So I'm sure that they were all hoping that, hey, we can get lightning to strike twice, so let's try to go after Enlist as well. And this time it didn't work. So hopefully, with that having failed in the court's eyes, that maybe this issue will ratchet back a little bit for the near future here.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing Jay Vroom, and he didn't say it this exact way when he was with CropLife America, and I talked to him over the years. Is they will use a hammer as long as the hammer works, and when the hammer doesn't work, they put the hammer aside and get a screwdriver. And when the screwdriver's aside, they'll just continue to use the tool that works until such time as it doesn't, and then they'll switch gears. And they're masterful at it, and give them credit. But it doesn't advance the science, and it doesn't put us in a better place.
Well, to make a bad joke for the undisclosed location people out there, I suppose if you can find your orange juice in your vodka, then you can do the screwdriver. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, so
nice
Paul,
segue.
It's not really a segue here. Let's end on a note. This is a shameless plug for something CropLife is doing. It's a trivia question for you, my friend. 4 numbers. Want to see if you can guess what these 4 numbers represent. 5, 3, a 3, and 2. And it ties to something we've just done online on CropLife.com. So.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I'm not going to venture a guess. You just go ahead and tell me.
All right. Well, as sort of a lead into this, a little bit of intro. Most folks know by now that the MAGI show, which normally takes place at the end of August, is not going to be held in person this year because of COVID. One of the things we tended to do at the in-person MAGI event was hand out the Showstopper Award, which was the trophy that went to that one product at the show that all the attendees deemed as stopping them in their tracks, and basically best in show kind of award. Those numbers I just hit you with represent the 13 Showstopper winners between 2007 and 2019. The 5 is the number of Showstopper awards that have gone to John Deere or Hagee. 3 and 3 represent AGCO and Case IH products that have won the Showstopper, and 2 were 2 products from GVM that were deemed Showstoppers in their given years. So if you're interested in going down a memory lane when it comes to Showstopper awards, you can check out CropLife.com. We have a slideshow up that covers the winners from 2007 to 2019. Regrettably, there won't be a 2020 winner. I guess the Showstopper there would have to be COVID-19 because it literally stopped the show. But like I say, if you want to see some of the pieces of equipment that have caught everyone's eye at MAGI shows in the past, check it out for yourself.
So the next issue of CropLife Iron is going to have a giant COVID representation on the front cover as the Showstopper. Is that what you're telling our group? Because I think they'd really like to see yet another image of COVID. I think that would be great.
Oh man, yeah, that would make an interesting trophy. I don't know if anybody want to hold it though. That's the only thing.
Bring your disinfectant wipes. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's probably a very appropriate place to stop. So. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, Eric, and we'll see you next week for CropLife Retail Week.
If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.